for men accidentally stumble upon a camp of humanoid monsters. In the next moment, where did these human-like monsters come from? Can the 4 individuals escape successfully? Let's step into the perilous village and uncover the secrets from 20 years ago. In 2005, in the town of Tuktukuri, a bus was traveling on the road. However, as it crossed the bridge, a large tree blocked its path. Strong male passengers worked together to move the tree. The wife of one of the male passengers, Tira, is pregnant. Tira was about to give birth, and she was in excruciating pain. Seeing his wife in such agony, her husband Setu approached the driver to discuss taking a detour through a side road next to an old factory. This way, they could save time. After they left, several mysterious figures emerged from the bushes. Tira heard her husband mention that they would pass through the village of Katia, and she had a foreboding feeling. This village was rumored to be haunted. After the bus had traveled a certain distance, a person with a face full of boils deliberately collided with it. The bus driver, unwilling to invite trouble, wanted to leave directly. However, the kind-hearted Setu ignored his wife's objections and got off to investigate. When Setu examined the man on the ground, he realized that he looked familiar. Suddenly, a flying knife came, and the driver who got off had his head severed. Then, the man on the ground disappeared. Then 4 men with scythes appeared. They were extremely powerful and shot Setu down with one arrow. A monster pounced onto the bus, and it stabbed each person on the bus one by one. Setu was finally nailed to the front of the bus. What mysteries lie in the village of Katia? Let's continue reading to find out. The story jumps forward in time. 20 years have passed, and the secrets of the Katia village are about to be revealed. Mercenary Farhan arrives at the home of wealthy heir Jacob, who has been partially paralyzed since childhood and spends most of his time in a wheelchair. Farhan's team is hired to go to the Katia village, their goal being to safely extract samples for scientists and subsequently treat Jacob's body. Accompanying Farhan is Jacob's butler, Ryan, who was involved in scientific experiments in the Katia village 20 years ago. Ryan appears to be afraid of the place, but Jacob holds something over him, forcing him to comply with the arrangements. The scene shifts, and Maya and her husband have just returned to the country. They encounter heavy traffic on the highway leading to their hometown, so they decide to take a detour, which happens to pass through the Katia village. They have been abroad all year round, and they don't know about the haunting in Katia village. This road was sparsely populated. The car was stuck by a stone while driving, and both front wheels were punctured. They have no cell phone signal, and the family of 3 doesn't know what to do. Maya's husband, Thrym, decides to go and find help nearby. After walking for an hour and a half, Thrym finally finds people in a nearby village. When they hear that Thrym's car stopped in the Katia village, they all stop what they're doing in surprise. An old man approaches and tells Thrym, "You have made a grave mistake." The tavern owner, Peter, says that the place is haunted, and anyone who goes there never returns. No one is willing to help Thrym, so he disappointedly takes up his weapons and returns. The 2 people in the car are unaware of the impending danger, while the dog is growling and staring at a particular spot. Maya's daughter, Monica, speculates that the dog needs to go to the bathroom. As Maya opens the car door, the dog immediately runs out. Maya chases after the dog into the bushes and sees her daughter running after as well. While they are talking, a hook chain snags Maya's leg. Maya is dragged into the woods, and the girl stands there in shock, looking at the tall figure before her. Who has captured them? What secrets does the Katia village still hold? Let's continue reading. In fact, 2 weeks ago, Jacob sent a group of scientists to the Katia village. The scientific team at that time was collecting samples in the Katia village and discovered glowing plants and flowers. While collecting samples, their equipment suddenly made a sound. One person saw a mysterious tree, and just as they were amazed, a hooked rope pinned one of the team members to the tree. Another scientist was dragged into the deep forest, indicating that the situation there is full of danger. The scene shifts to Thrym, who is walking halfway and hears a strange noise. It starts to rain heavily, and Thrym, not paying attention to the ground, trips over a tree trunk and falls to the ground. A figure stands in front of him, and the scene switches to 3 weeks ago. Jacob remembers the doctor's diagnosis, unwilling to accept that he can no longer walk. Butler Ryan tells Jacob that his father wanted to say something to him before he passed away, and it likely involves the secret of the Katia village. The scene shifts to the present, as the mercenaries dock on the Katia coast and, led by Ryan, proceed towards the deep forest. Meanwhile, Thrym is rescued by 3 villagers who arrived, and he learns about the haunting incidents in the village from their accounts. Panka's son and daughter-in-law went missing here, and Thrym has a bad feeling about it. They boarded a tractor and continued searching for Thrym's car. Thrym curiously asked them what had happened in the Katia village. Amaranda's chief's son, Karu, revealed the truth. It turns out that in 1989, the Katia villagers made their living by mining. Setu's father, Parker, was the strongest man in the village. At that time, members of the Amaranda family arrived at the mining site, and the family chief stated that his brother would take over control there. That person was Raj. As soon as Raj arrived, he berated and insulted the workers. He was unhappy with them taking breaks during work and was also harsh towards elderly people. Then Raj threw Setu out. Setu's father, Parker, slapped Raj away, and a conflict ensued. The chief was about to shoot, but Raj told his brother and sister-in-law to get back in the car, saying he could handle this small matter himself. Setu's fiery-tempered aunt, Ratty, cursed angrily, and Raj knocked down the strong Parker. Then Raj humiliated Ratty in public, almost stripping her naked, and the humiliated Ratty chose to die. Afterwards, Parker regained consciousness, and the villagers held a funeral for Ratty together. Angry villagers stormed into the chief's mansion, and Parker decisively castrated Raj. The chief's son, Karu, mediated between them. Unlike his parents, Karu was an upright person, and Parker was his classmate. The chief, in anger, shot and knocked down a person. Before the conflicts between the two sides escalated further, under Karu's mediation, the villagers left this place. After Karu finished speaking, the four of them arrived at Thrym's parking spot, but the car was gone. Thrym searched around and quickly found a book belonging to his daughter. Karu knew that the car had been towed deep into the village. Meanwhile, the mercenaries arrived at the place with strange plants and flowers. They discovered a raincoat stuck to a tree, and when Farhan lifted it, the raincoat and decomposed human bones fell to the ground. Everyone was surprised. The scene shifted, and Jacob met his terminally ill father, Mervyn. Their relationship had always been strained, and Jacob's mother had already passed away. Mervyn was the CEO of a pharmaceutical company and had been hardworking in his youth. He was originally a successful physician. Jacob suffered nerve damage when he was young, and the arrogant Mervyn secretly medicated his child, resulting in Jacob's paralysis from the waist down. After Jacob fell ill, he devoted himself to researching various remedies to cure him. Before Mervyn passed away, he revealed the truth about his research. In 1989, he was studying components that could cure nerve damage and had finally discovered a lanthanide element. Mervyn set his sights on the mining site in Katia village. The scene shifted, and Thrym and the other three drove to an abandoned village. Karu continued to reveal the events of the past. In 1991, the village chief sold the villagers' land and mining site to Mervyn. The village chief hired people to demolish the village with excavators. When the angry villagers confronted him, Chief Amaranda used his power to suppress them. At that moment, his son, Karu, stepped forward. Even though Karu pleaded, the chief was determined to drive the villagers away. Karu finally decided to take them to a new land, which belonged to him. However, the chief claimed that the land had no value. At that moment, Karu's mother, Gam, suddenly fell ill. She seemed possessed and angrily cursed everyone to hell before collapsing. Karu abandoned his selfish family and joined the villagers in building their new homeland. The scene shifted, and present-day Katia had become desolate. Meanwhile, the scientists recognized the severed head on the ground as someone they knew, the researcher who had come 2 weeks ago. Ryan tried to call their boss but had no signal. The scientists roughly examined the corpse and discovered that it hadn't decomposed for long. It appeared that there was a special substance in the slime on the body. However, Ryan wanted to extract a sample quickly and leave, so he urged the others to hit the road as soon as possible. The group continued to venture deeper, and one of the scientists discovered a severed head on a tree, followed by a corpse falling down. Sharp sounds echoed, and everyone became alert. It seemed like there were beasts moving through the woods, and the next moment, a mercenary was lifted up by a monster. After a while, the mutilated mercenary was thrown to the ground, and the mercenaries started shooting. The scene shifted to another side, revealing that Thrym's wife, Maya, wasn't actually killed but imprisoned in a cave. A petite mutant appeared and took the hairpin from the girl in the cage. Another monster swiftly landed in front of Maya. Her situation looked grim. We returned to the mercenaries' side. After the monsters left, the mercenaries buried their fallen comrade on the spot and held a unique ceremony. Meanwhile, one of the scientists acted alone. He found the tree trunk that was wriggling and touched it with fascination before returning to the team. The group was able to resume their journey. Meanwhile, Thrym and the others stopped at the abandoned doorstep of Karu's ancestral home. They suspected someone was inside, so they entered with flashlights in hand. They saw mutant rats with 2 tails, and there was a large and eerie tree inside the house. Sticky slime dripped onto Thrym's hand, and as they looked up, they were suddenly attacked by bloodthirsty mutants. They attempted to fight back, but Peter was dragged away by the mutants. They managed to rescue their comrade, but the mutants continued to pursue them relentlessly. Fortunately, Karu shot and killed them one by one. Just when they thought they could relax, a decaying figure appeared, dragging several vicious dogs with it. The 4 of them quickly fled, but the dogs pounced at them. Some of them were individually overpowered, but Karu managed to smash one of the dogs with a stone and then shot it dead. Strong Thrym threw the dog against the wall and then rescued Panka. The 3 of them realized Peter was missing, so they went in search of him. Meanwhile, Peter was chased into a pit, and the other 3 followed, with the dogs close behind. After an unknown amount of time, they gradually regained consciousness. It turned out that the vines in the cave saved their lives. Karoo realized they were in an abandoned mine that had been deserted for a long time. They also came across several scrapped cars on the way, indicating that they weren't the first group to be stranded there. Thrym spotted his daughter's hairpin on the ground and ran frantically to the end of the road, but they couldn't find Thrym's wife and daughter. At that moment, the four of them were guided by a singing voice and followed it to a mine. They saw a woman tied to a platform and a man covered in sores. It appeared that he was preparing for some kind of ritual. Just as the man swung his sickle, kind-hearted Thrym rushed in and tackled him. After hearing the man's voice, Karoo realized that he was his father, the chief of Amaranda. The chief's face had become horrifying, indicating that he had also undergone mutation. The chief laughed wildly, looking up to the sky. He said that you all are here to die. Karoo's companions all thought the monster deserved death, but Thrym stood in the way because he wanted to know where his family was. The chief pushed him aside, and Karoo hoped that he would still have a shred of reason, but the chief had already lost his humanity. Panka, seeing that Karoo hesitated to take action, suddenly lunged at the chief. The chief directly grabbed Panka's neck, lifting him up. The chief became extraordinarily strong and knocked down Peter and Thrym one after another. Hesitant, Karoo couldn't bring himself to shoot his own family member. Thrym, wielding a weapon, finally managed to defeat the chief. Meanwhile, in another cave, Monica watched as her mother was tied to a stone platform, and she cried out in fear. A small mutant approached the girl, and it didn't have any ill intentions towards Monica. It simply reminded her not to attract his attention. "Don't be afraid," it said while pulling out a doll from its bag and handing it to the girl. Monica asked it to give her some water to drink. The scene shifts, and Karoo and the others are interrogating the chief using severe methods, but the chief still refuses to speak. A voice appears in the chief's mind, informing him that the army is coming. The chief laughs maniacally and then shouts, "Children, capture them!" Soon, there were roars of monsters in the mine tunnel. Various mutants were summoned by the chief, causing panic among the four individuals. After a while, Peter and Karoo were suspended in midair. The small mutant came here and called the chief father. It wanted to ask for water for the little girl. However, the chief refused the small mutant's request. Thrym on the ground recognized his medicine box and loudly questioned the small mutant about the whereabouts of his family. The small mutant was too scared to speak, and then the chief asked Thrym to find medicine to treat his injuries. Thrym deliberately spilled all the medical supplies, secretly hiding a small knife nearby while throwing the medicine over. However, the chief didn't keep his promise. Not only did he not reveal the whereabouts of Maya and the others, but he also had his subordinates carry away the woman on the platform who would soon become food for the mutants. Karoo couldn't understand why his father had become like this, and the chief revealed what had happened after Karoo led the villagers away. He explained that they had made a lot of money through their collaboration with Mervyn, but later they faced the consequences. Mervyn had established a laboratory in Katia's mine, but their research and development process didn't go smoothly. The factory discharged wastewater directly into the land, causing Katia to become barren. Cattle and sheep died one after another, leaving the villagers who followed the chief trapped in sickness. The Amaranda family received retribution. Mervyn's medical team conducted experiments on various animals and unintentionally created an extremely dangerous sickness. The living conditions in the village of Katia became harsh, and the villagers resented Mervyn and his company. Led by the Amaranda family, the villagers stormed into the pharmaceutical factory, attempting to protest, but Mervyn always paid them off and sent them away. The villagers believed in the local cult of the Mother Goddess. The villagers discussed their desire to leave this place. The Amaranda family had established dominance in the village through this cult. The chief's wife, Gam, witnessed the gradual collapse of the villagers' faith, and she openly got angry. Then Gam, as if possessed, directly chopped off a villager's head. The villagers believed that the Mother Goddess was angry, and they were incited by the Amaranda people. They raised weapons and intended to attack the factory. The villagers walked through the mine tunnel, and at that moment, people in the laboratory heard a tsunami warning and hurriedly left. The villagers rushed into the factory and the seawater rushed in. The chief's wife, Gam, sacrificed herself to save others during the tsunami. The villagers were trapped inside the laboratory for several months. They were starving and resorted to eating the experimental rats and other animals. The villagers became even more bloodthirsty and deranged, eventually resorting to cannibalism. The chief of Amaranda was guided by delusions. Seeing Gam transformed into the Mother Goddess who blessed them, he felt divinely assisted. The chief directly opened the tightly closed factory doors. They thought they would gain freedom. But while these people were feasting on the experimental subjects, an irreversible transformation was taking place inside their bodies. They acquired animal genes and couldn't tolerate sunlight. They became mutants, surviving only in dark corners. 3 weeks ago, Jacob also learned the truth of the past. Now his father intends to destroy the pharmaceutical company since they created the monsters of Katia village. However, Jacob is unwilling to accept this. He is determined to obtain a sample of the gene that can cure himself. He moved closer to the bed, pretending to embrace his father, and then he deliberately took his father's life. Jacob never had a deep emotional bond with his father, and now he just wants to be selfish. The scene shifts, and the mercenaries arrive at the laboratory in the factory. They are all shocked to see a statue made of women's skeletons standing in the center. It seems that this is the deity worshipped by the Amaranda family. The scene shifts again, and THRYM's group is held captive by the mutants. A powerful mutant summoned by the Amaranda chief approaches. The mutant is also named Vidor by the chief, and Vidor is the one he is most proud of among his descendants. The 4 people in THRYM were scared to death, and the leader of Amaranda ordered him to kill the man hanging in the air. Soon, Peter becomes a lifeless soul under the blade, and after being killed, he is torn apart by hungry skeleton creatures. Everyone is filled with grief as the remains are carried away by the monsters to feed their offspring. After Vidor leaves, the Amaranda chief suddenly collapses and can't get up. It turns out that what THRYM gave him was a sleeping pill. Soon, they all hear a cry for help. THRYM wants to quickly escape from the handcuffs, and in his desperation, he considers cutting off his fingers, but Panka stops him. Panka looks at him as if he sees his own son and, with a heavy heart, he cuts off the fingers. He endures the pain and rescues the 2 of them, and the 3 of them support each other. THRYM and the other 2 control the chief. Soon, they hear Maya's cries for help. They stumble upon a blue cave, where there is a large water pool. In the center, there are 2 women with severed limbs on stone slabs, resembling the sculpture of the deity. It seems that the Amaranda chief has done disgusting things in the name of the supposed mother goddess. One of the women is Setu's pregnant wife from before. These mutants killed the unborn child of the pregnant woman and then severed her limbs. Later, the chief used her to procreate offspring, and the strongest mutant is one of them. Unfortunately, she was conscious throughout the entire ordeal. Karoo can't accept all of this and directly kills the chief with his sword. In the end, Karoo suffocates the woman to give her release. Meanwhile, in another cave, the mutant Vidor was coveting Maya's body, but he was reminded by the little guy who came over. It had no choice but to complete the ritual and then come back. The kind-hearted tiny mutant takes the opportunity to help Monica escape. The scene changes, and we find ourselves inside a factory. One of the scientists is fascinated by the body of the deity and disregards the danger to touch it directly. The next second, an arrow shoots through his arm, and he cries out in pain. He quickly loses consciousness, and the mercenaries go into a state of alert. Several monsters break in through the windows and attack humans frantically, clawing and biting. Their behavior is frenzied and deranged. The captain shoots and kills a few small monsters, while a female team member is dragged on the ground by a monster, but she manages to shoot and kill it at the last moment. 2 strong mercenaries work together to shoot and kill the monsters, and the situation finally calms down. They escape to another room, and Ryan tells Farhan that the sample is in the safe inside the room. Farhan cautiously moves toward the safe but finds that he can't open the door. Just as everyone despairs, a monster swoops in from above and grabs the female team member. The mercenaries open fire simultaneously and quickly subdue it. Just as Farhan and the others are debating whether to continue the mission, a pair of large hands smashes through the glass and grabs Ryan. This mutant is exceptionally powerful, and the mercenaries can't seem to shoot it dead. Farhan attempts a close-range attack but gets punched away. The fierce attack of the female team member caught the attention of the mutants. One of them knocked the woman down and grabbed her by the head. Eventually, the female team member's body was torn in half. A skeletal monster also let out a triumphant roar. Only Farhan, who was about to lose consciousness, remained at the scene. The 2 mutants realized he posed no threat. They left the area. A conscious Farhan looked at the tragic state of his teammate. He was deeply saddened. The scene transitions. THRYM and the others finally reunited with Maya. The family of 3 was able to be together again. Panka held a knife to the mutant's throat. Monica spoke up to stop it. She said it had been taking care of her. They spared it. Just as they were looking for an escape route, the little mutant indicated that it knew the way out. They arrived at a staircase. Panka leads the charge. Before the little girl went up, she left her hairpin with the little mutant. The camera switches to the other side. Ryan took a risk and ran towards the safe box. He obtained the sample. Farhan and his companions also found him. They were deeply resentful of Ryan for bringing them here. Farhan got hold of a satellite phone. He asks the person on the other end of the phone to track his location. The person on the other end reveals a piece of news: Ryan is being accused of bullying children. Unable to contain his emotions, Farhan, who already despised such people, shoots Ryan, and the sample falls to the ground. This is the serum Jacob needs. Jacob is watching a video left by his father, and he calls Farhan. Farhan, feeling disheartened, says they're not going to continue, but Jacob decides to go there personally. The rest of the team also arrives, and coincidentally, THRYM's group is also here. They both decide to cooperate and escape together. Monica, naturally curious, squats down and fiddles with the sample. The adults discuss how they should escape. Panka suggests that mutants are afraid of light, so they could wait until dawn. However, there are still 3 hours until sunrise. THRYM feels that they can't hold on for that long. They ultimately decide to leave now. However, Monica accidentally cuts her hand on the glass of the sample. THRYM and Maya quickly help their daughter stop the bleeding. The group then escapes to the warehouse in the factory. The powerful mutant Vidor kicks open the door. The pursuers are about to catch up. They hide behind the equipment. There were many mutants patrolling the factory at this time. Farhan checks the satellite map and discovers another route. One mercenary intends to lead them away himself. Before he can finish speaking, he is lifted up by a mutant. The armed mercenary covers the others as they escape. They reach the second floor. After one mercenary finishes off the small monsters, the arrogant Vidor appears, wielding a knife. The mercenary realizes that the mutant has tough skin and brings out a sword. Both sides swing their weapons at the same time. The final outcome can be guessed by everyone. Karoo, Panka, and another scientist find the exit. The mutants here are staring at them. Karoo and the others manage to kill 2 mutants barehanded. Vidor fell from the sky. It kicks Panka, sending him flying and injuring his leg. Before Karoo can attack, he is knocked down. Just as the mutant is about to strike Karoo, Thrym and Farhan, armed with guns, appear. No matter how they shoot, it seems like they're tickling Vidor. The monster throws away its weapon, and Farhan rolls to avoid it. Then, Thrym covers Farhan as he goes to find an exit. Thrym is sent flying by a chair, and Maya quickly runs to check on him. At the same time, Monica is grabbed by another monster and carried away between its legs. Simu rushed forward desperately for his daughter. The gorilla-like mutant fixates on Thrym. Thrym kicks it away as it lunges at him. Then he uses a heavy object on the monster's head to knock it down. Meanwhile, Farhan finds the entrance. He installs a bomb on the door. Vidor is holding Maya's head. Thrym charges directly at it to attack. However, he is slapped away by the monster's hand. Then Panka crazily slashes the monster with a knife. But the mutant's wounds quickly heal. Panka is shocked. His head was crushed by a monster's kick. The angry men step forward to attack one after another. Farhan intervenes to distract its attention. The 3 of them together restrain the mutant. However, they are still no match for the mutant. Only Thrym is left holding onto a rope. The monster dragged him away. It took advantage of the situation and knocked down Farhan. Just as the mutant is about to stomp on the mercenary's head, Thrym directly taunts it with words. When the mutant charges at him, Thrym slides and picks up a gun from the ground. He shoots and detonates the bomb on the wall. In the sound of the explosion, this place turns into ruins. A family of 3, Karoo, and a scientist, plus Farhan survived. When they are about to escape the factory, however, Karoo stays behind. He is worried that Vidor may not be completely dead. Thrym, not trusting Karoo, turns back to the factory. Karoo originally wanted to use words to influence Vidor, but he is grabbed by the mutant and his throat is squeezed. In the end, Karoo decisively shoots and detonates the bomb. Thrym saw it all with his own eyes. Finally, he walks out sorrowfully. Thrym's wife and daughter embrace him. They travel all the way. Finally, it becomes dawn. Several helicopters arrive at the coast. Thrym angrily punches Jacob. Finally, the survivors board the helicopters. Jacob's subordinates go to the factory and bring back the remains of the mutants. Jacob believes they have research value. 3 months later, the family of 3 has emerged from the shadows of the past. However, Monica is awakened by the nightmares from the factory. Maya and Thrym comfort their daughter. Then Thrym got a call from Farhan. At this moment, his daughter is playing with a puppy. However, Monica is bitten by the dog. Her wound starts bleeding purple. Meanwhile, Jacob arrives at the laboratory. Due to the lack of progress in the company's research, he personally came here to open the serum vault. He disregarded the objections of the researchers. He injected the serum into his own body. Then, surprisingly, he stood up. But in the end, Jacob still collapsed. On Monica's side, her wound was naturally healing. Farhan, on the phone, also warned Thrym to be careful. Monica is in danger. Thrym's expression changed drastically. This concludes episode 6 of The Village in Danger. The film uses a 3-line narration technique. 20 years ago, an old case. The film depicts many aspects of human darkness. We do not know the situation of the little girl in the end, but Jacob's actions will not stop. As we slowly uncover the truth, we encounter the despicability of the tribal chief, the ignorance of the villagers, the greed of the wealthy, and the struggles of the common people. However, faith is triggered by the greed for power within the Amaranda clan. Just like rulers need to control the thoughts of the people when founding a nation, they must rely on a set of politically advantageous religions. Those who suffer are still the lower class people. Alright, that's it for today's video. See you in the next episode. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section.